Okay, so let's talk materials, and I have a helper with me today. My daughter wanted to be part of the video, so she's going to help me with materials. I hope you guys don't mind. So this is what we're making today, a really cute, on par with our back to school series. We're making a little mini backpack keychain. So for the materials, what we will need is
yarn needle, stitch marker, crochet hook, which is a 3.5 crochet hook, and then scissors,
and then we'll need some blue yarn. Well, we use blue. You can definitely use whatever color yarn you want. And we will need two other things, which is a button and some keychain hardware of your choice. So go ahead and get your materials and then meet us back here so we can get this tutorial started. Alright, so let's start with the body of our backpack. Row number 1 is going to be, my stitch marker here. Row number 1 is going to be a magic circle, and we are doing 6 single crochets inside of our magic circle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Great. Close our magic circle, place our stitch marker. Row number 2 is going to be our row increases. What that means is we're doing 2 single crochets inside of each stitch, just like so. 1 single crochet and then another single crochet in that same stitch. So go ahead and do that all the way around. Row number 3 is going to be 1 single crochet and then an increase. So 1 single crochet in the first stitch and then an increase in the second stitch, which is 2 single crochets in the same stitch. So 1 single crochet and then 2 single crochets, and we're doing that all the way around. Alright, row number 4 is going to be 1 single crochet in each stitch, but we're doing back loops only. So what that means is we're looking for the back loop of our stitches. So that's the front loop right there. We're looking for the back loop. So we're doing back loop only for each one of these stitches. And that's just going to help our backpack kind of angle up. So go ahead and do this, and I will meet you back here once we are all done. Alright, so for rows 5 through 12, we are doing just 1 single crochet in each stitch, and just like normal. You don't have to worry about front loop, back loops, none of that. So just like normal. Rows 5 through 12, go ahead and do that, and I will meet you back here once I'm done with my row number 12. Alright, so this is what I'm looking like after 12 rows, and I forgot to show you guys, just for context, this is what our backpack is going to look like. We start from the bottom and we are working our way up. So right now we are about right there. So for row number 13, we're actually going to do 1 single crochet and then a decrease, because it's going to bring our bag kind of in a little bit to give us that, you know, kind of shape there. So for, like I said, row number 13, we are doing, did I move my stitch marker? Yeah, I did. We are doing 1 single crochet and then a decrease, just like that. So 1 single crochet and then a decrease, and we're doing that all the way around. Row number 14 is going to be 1 single crochet in each stitch, just like we did with rows 5 through 12. So just 1 single crochet in each stitch all the way around. Okay, so this is our final row, and on this row we are actually going to create the straps for our backpack. They're going to be embedded into our row number 15. And the way we're going to do that is we are going to do 1 single crochet in that next stitch, just like that. Then we are going to chain 15. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 12, 13, 14, and 15. Now what you're going to do is find the 4th row from the magic circle, and we're going to attach our strap there. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So right at where we did that back loop only. So I'm just going to look and see the stitch that looks kind of directly below where we started our strap. So for me, I'm going to go like right here. It doesn't have to be rocket science. So just go ahead and attach that with a slip stitch, just like that. And I'm actually going to cut this yarn. Go ahead and pull that through and tighten it up. So now that we have our strap already made, we're going to go into that same stitch that we started the chain, or we did the chain in, reattach our yarn, and then we are going to do 8 single crochets. And let me just get situated here because I am going to crochet over my tail. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And you will not go all the way to your stitch marker, and that's okay. So go ahead and do that last single crochet in that 8th stitch, and then we're going to chain 15 again. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. And we're just going to attach in that same row we did before. Again, just kind of eyeball the stitch directly below. And I'm going to go here. Don't think too hard about it. And go ahead and slip stitch, cut our yarn, and we will have to weave those tails in later. We won't worry about those right now though. And that's what we're looking like so far. And the body of our bag is pretty much done. So there's the opening right there where you can kind of put stuff into it. When we did that back loop only, it kind of makes a nice little base for our bag, and then we have our straps. So you can actually, I mean, in theory, take this thing out because we don't need it anymore. So what we need to do now is we need to make the top of our bag, and that's actually going to have the embedded the loop for our button in there already. So let's go ahead and get started with that. All right, for the top, we need to repeat rows 1 through 3 of the body of our bag. So what we're doing is row number 1, we are doing that magic circle with the 6 single crochets. That's magic circle 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Row number 2 is going to be our row of increases. So remember, it was 2 single crochets in each stitch. And I'm going to go ahead and leave you so you can do yours, and then meet you back when you're done. Row number 3 was 1 single crochet and then an increase. 1 single crochet and then an increase, 1 single crochet and then an increase, and we're doing that all the way around. Okay, so for row number 4, we are going to do 2 single crochets, then an increase 3 times to start off with. And I'll stay on with you this entire row. So 1, 2, and then an increase. This counts as our first one. 1, 2, and then an increase. This is our second one. 1, 2, then an increase. This counts as our third one. So now what we want to do is to chain 4, and this is actually going to be the loop for our button. That's what we should look like right now. Then we're actually going to go into the next stitch and continue those 2 single crochets and increase for another 3 times. So 1, 2, and then an increase. 1, 2, and then an increase. That was twice. 1, 2, and then an increase. That was our 3rd time. Take our stitch marker out, and we're actually going to slip stitch to the next stitch. Cut our yarn. We really don't need a tail, but I made one anyway. And so what you end up with is this nice little hole right here, and that's going to help us to attach to our button. So that's what our top should be looking like. Okay, so to attach the top to the body of the backpack, I'm just going to grab my stitch marker here. Not my stitch marker, my yarn needle. And I'm going to go ahead and thread that with a decent little tail. And I'm just going to attach the top to these 1, 2, 3, 4 stitches in the center right here. Can you see that? So just attach them to the center there. And the way I'm going to do that is just literally to go in, find the 4 centermost stitches in our top. Oh, can't see that. There we go. And I'm just going to weave them in. Just going in and out. Nothing fancy. Just like that. Being careful not to attach the front of the backpack. So those 3 stitches. Gonna go over this tail here and go into that last stitch right there. Just like that. And that's what it should look like. So what I'm gonna do is actually go ahead, pull this one, the first tail that we had, pull the second tail, and I'm going to go ahead and join them. Just like that, and then just tie. And then I can hide my tails later when I do the rest of my tails. But like I was saying before, I actually did this when I was creating the pattern. I actually connected the front panel, and you don't want to do that, so just be careful. This is another tail that we have to weave in. This is from our top, so I'll weave all that in later, but this is what we're looking like so far. And I really like when we, in that row number 4, did the back loop only, because it creates, like if you push it in a little bit, it creates like this nice little base for our backpack. See that? Super cute. Okay, so the only thing we have to do now are these little strings right here and put our button on. All right, so to attach the button, what I'm gonna do is cut a decent little tail. And what I like to do is to unravel my yarn a little bit and get a couple of these threads, because this is gonna count as like our sewing thread, quote unquote. So just separate that out. And that gives you just a thinner thread to work with. I like that just a little bit better on my buttons because it makes it look a little less bulky. By no means do you have to do that, but it especially works for me because the button that I'm working with, and I'm just threading my needle behind the scenes, is a little bit on the thin side in the center, and so doing that just kind of helps a little bit. So to attach the button, I'm looking at rows 1, 2, 3, 4, between like maybe rows 4 and 5. And I'm gonna insert my yarn needle there. I'm gonna go into one side. My button only has 2 holes, so I'm just gonna go through one side of the button, go on the other side of the button, and then go into the next stitch. Just like that. Pull everything tight. I'm grabbing the other little thread that I had, pulling that tight, and I'm just gonna make a knot. I'm just knotting. If I can find the other one, there it goes. Just knotting so that it's knotted on the inside. Tie it as tight as you can without breaking your thread. And then I'm just gonna cut. And we do have a lot of tails just hanging out, and that's okay, we'll clean it up later. So that's what the button is looking like. And now I actually sewed over this tail so I can cut that. And now you have your button that can go on top of your thing. And let's see if I can actually attach this with my nails. My nails be giving me a little bit of an issue sometimes, and it's giving me an issue now too. It's not the design, I promise. It's me and these nails. So there we go. Buttons take a little bit more effort when I decided to wear these long nails. Okay, there we go. All right, so that's what we're looking like so far, and it's actually really cute. The only thing now we need to do are the strings. These are totally optional, but they look super cute to me, so we're gonna do the strings now. So to do the strings, it's like probably the simplest thing we've done all tutorial. You're literally just chaining 16, and then we're attaching it to the back. So we're chaining 16 to a slip knot, and then chaining 16. That was 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16, and you're cutting. You don't need a long tail at all. And you just want to make sure when you fold these in half that the strings on either side are the same size. Next, you just want to get your yarn needle. You are going to go ahead and thread your yarn needle, get a decent tail, and we are going to attach that to our back. Okay, so what I do sorry, my kid was over here making shadow puppets while I was trying to record. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I have my yarn needle threaded with our tail. I opened up my bag, and now I have the string with the chain 16 that we had on there. So what I'm gonna do is just find like the centermost stitch from our button. So for me, that's like right there. I'm gonna go into that stitch and then go into, I'm folding my strings in half, going into that stitch at the top like that, and then I'm gonna go back into like that next stitch, like you see, like right there, just so that it's anchored. That's the only reason. Like that. And then I'm gonna find the other string and then tie, kind of like we did with the button. So these are not functional, they're just there for show, only because the inside of our bag is already pretty small. We really don't need a drawstring. So but I thought it was cute. Like I really wanted to have the drawstring look. So that's why we have it. So I'm just weaving these ends in because I need to start doing that. Our ends are getting pretty ridiculous. So let me go ahead and do that with the rest of the ends, but that's what our tails are looking like so far. So let me weave everything in and show you what we're looking like. Okay, so this is what we're doing. This is what we're looking like, I should say. And I cleaned up all of the tails. So this is our finished product. The only thing I need to do now is to add the keychain. Because I want this to be a keychain. So I actually have two different keychains here. I'm going to combine them. And so I have like the claw clip looking one and I have the regular one, but I want my keychain to have both. So I'm just going to add this one to that one real quick. And then I need to get a tail going so we can attach this guy. Okay, grab my yarn needle, thread my yarn needle, just like that. And I am going to attach like right in the center of those 4 stitches that we've had in the back. So right there. And then I'm going to go through my keychain. I'm going to do a couple of knots. So 1 and 2, and I'm also going to make sure it's super secure by going back and forth into the actual work. So I'm going to go into my work, then come into that chain, and then just do that a couple of times. Just like that. And then I'm gonna tie again. And if you've watched my channel, you know me, I just like to be super secure. That's the only reason it is overboard. If it feels like it's a lot, it's because it is. Okay, so our keychain is officially attached, and that's what we're looking like. I'm gonna go ahead and weave those ends off camera and then meet you back here. All right, this is what we are looking like, and our backpack is functional. So if you take the top off of the button, it is functional, has a little bit of a pocket there. What you put inside of there is only up to your imagination. For me, I might just put my stitch markers in there, so, and attach it to my crochet bag, and then when I need them, they're just kind of handy. And then, you know, you can tighten it back up. Again, my nails prevents me from doing this that's not funny.
Yes, it is.
Prevents me from doing this with ease, but I promise you it's not hard, it's just my nails. So this is what we are looking like. We added our keychain to make it super cute. So what else can you do with this pattern? I do this at the end of each one of my videos. So you definitely can change the color, as I did with this one. Just be mindful of the type of yarn you're using. You can see mine looks like 2 different sizes. They're actually using the same pattern. The yarn was just a little bit, it was a different brand of yarn, so the sizes look a little bit different, so keep that in mind too. You can change the button color. You can actually make this guy bigger or smaller, just depending on what your preference is. If you want to make it bigger, the base of our backpack was just an increase of 1, so 1 single crochet and then an increase. If you want to make it bigger, you just keep going. The next row you would do 2 single crochets and an increase, 3 single crochets and an increase, so forth and so on, until you make it as big as you want. You can make it smaller in the same respect. I don't know why you would, because this thing is already pretty darn tiny, but same thing, just the opposite. We did 1 single crochet and then an increase. If you want to make it smaller, you would just go down to just an increase, and then that will make the bag super tiny. You cannot add the keychain. This one doesn't have the keychain. Same thing, just doesn't have the keychain. That's definitely another alteration. So I hope you enjoyed this video. The options is only really limited to your creativity. I'm gonna try to go ahead and hang on to these guys, hide them from my kids. I don't know how successful I will be, but well, there's that. Okay, so don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe, don't forget to keep up on all the information that's available in the world. There's a lot going on. Yeah, crochet some cool stuff this week, and I'm gonna try to, I guess I have to make me another one. Crochet some cool stuff. Meet you back here next week for a brand new tutorial. Bye guys.